Next on our program, we have Beth Farrell. Again, needs no introduction. Beth is well known in North Carolina through all agricultural circuits, and she is now one of our 4 Department of Ag advisors from the 5 flue cure producing states in North Carolina. Tobacco Associates has added the Department of Ag people as ex officio members to our board just to make sure that we actually do stay in contact with what's going on. So we're glad to have you, Beth. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Day, and good morning, everyone. That Commissioner Troxler regrets that he isn't able to join you today, but with the General Assembly being in session, there's a lot of discussions and meetings going on, but he sends you his regards. And it's good to be here this morning and to see so many friends and familiar faces in this room. I don't have to tell anyone what a challenging year 2024 was across the state, but if there ever was a time for continuity and experience in our Department of Agriculture, it is now. I'm grateful that Commissioner Troxler is in place to continue moving agriculture in our state forward, especially during challenging times. The disasters of 2024, Hurricane Helene, Tropical Storm Debbie, and the drought have not been easy for anyone, but I can assure you that Commissioner Troxler and all of us at the North Carolina Department of Agriculture have been working hard for months to get the help that is needed. He had me start calculating drought impacts in July. We knew 2024 was going to be a rough year on agriculture. We just didn't know how bad it would end up being at that time. People are hurting and need help. We're hearing this from across the state, not just in Western North Carolina. We want to do everything that we can to try to get them that help and rally support for our ag industry as a whole. We're going to keep pushing hard for agriculture, both here in North Carolina and in Washington. That is our promise to you. Commissioner Troxler has had numerous meetings with the General Assembly and has laid out what we know about federal assistance at this point and what looks likely to be available for agriculture. It looks like the North Carolina General Assembly is waiting to see what federal funds are available and if any of those funds are going to have to require a state match before they move forward. Commissioner Troxler has outlined agriculture's losses and reiterated his request for over $1 billion in disaster assistance statewide. Conversations are taking place around disaster relief almost daily, and we've got to keep agricultural losses and needs on the table. We keep reiterating that North Carolina had an agricultural disaster before the disaster we call Helene. I don't have to tell you the impacts of flash drought followed by excessive rain had on crops last summer. The drought became severe at the worst possible time in the growing season. Just this week, there's been more movement on a statewide disaster program. Like I said, people are hurting and need help. We want to do everything we can to try to get them that help and to rally support for our ag industry. And we're going to need every one of you in this room to reach out to your representatives in the legislature and in Congress to make sure that they get the message and know what the need is. People are concerned about the price of eggs today, and I understand that. But if we keep losing farms, imagine what that will do to our food supply and prices. If we continue to lose farmers, we will certainly impact the food supply. Investing in our farms is investing in our ability to feed and provide for ourselves. I know tobacco took a big hit in 2024 too, with yields being significantly impacted by the weather. Yields were down from 2023 by about 500 pounds per acre, ending up at an average of 1,800 pounds per acre statewide. This last summer, I saw numerous tobacco fields across the state that simply stopped growing during dry conditions, and yield reductions showed that impact. And I know there was a lot of standing tobacco back up later in the season when winds picked up and the root systems couldn't support the plants. Last year, Dr. Bill Collins told me in all the years that he's been alive, he had never seen a crop like that one. And he's seen a lot of tobacco crops in his time. I sincerely hope that we never see a year like 2024 again. After what happened in 2024, farmers need disaster assistance. And we can't say it often enough, but we're going to have to continue to work every contact we have nationally, statewide, and locally to secure help. Farms are stretched thin. We've got to get this right or we're going to see many farms go out of business. There's been a lot of uncertainty coming out of 2024. Continued low commodity prices, high input cost, possible market and trade disruptions, leaf orders not yet received, strong tobacco production coming out of Brazil, FDA proposals to limit nicotine, rules on menthol, plus the availability and cost of H-2A workers. That's a hefty list as you're making plans for this upcoming season. But we remain optimistic about tobacco as we're seeing movement on several fronts. We know there's been some contracts issued, some that are pending, and that we're hoping that those orders get placed very soon. At the end of the month, I'll be going on an agricultural trade mission to Japan, and tobacco will be one of the commodities we will be discussing during this visit. Japan is a significant trade partner for us. In addition, we were pleased to see the FDA withdraw its menthol proposal in the final days of the Biden administration. But it didn't go away forever. It was just put up on a shelf and could be pulled back down at any point in time. And in the final days of the Biden administration, final rules were announced on a plan to limit nicotine to non-addictive levels. Agronomically speaking, nicotine reduction isn't feasible from a yield or profitability standpoint. No currently approved tobacco variety meets the proposed standard. And FDA wants that rule to be implemented within 2 years after it's finalized. That would mean that farmers have one growing season to supply low nicotine tobacco for U.S. cigarettes, and that simply isn't feasible. And it doesn't take into consideration that still 60 to 70% of our crop each year is exported. There's a chance that the new administration may withdraw this rule, but that isn't guaranteed. As of right now, the public has until September 15th to comment on nicotine reduction proposal. Commissioner Troxler will be providing comments as needed, and we encourage you to do the same. Last month, Commissioner Troxler laid out all his top priorities for the upcoming year at our annual Ag Development Forum. All of the priorities support growing, preserving, and protecting our state's #1 industry, agriculture. We can't neglect an industry that provides $111.1 billion annually to our state's economy. And granted, part of that is through agribusiness. But we all know that the cornerstone of a successful agribusiness industry is successful farms. Included on the list is disaster recovery from Hurricane Helene, as well as summer drought and flooding that impacted many counties, farmland preservation, and addressing staffing concerns within the department. His goal is to make 2025 about rebuilding and rebounding. With major new businesses setting up shop here and people arriving in North Carolina every day, those of us involved in agriculture and agricultural leadership have to be focused on what the future will look like. And what we do today to shore up the resources we will need in the future to feed ourselves and the world. There's nothing more important to agriculture than making sure we maintain the water and the land we need to keep this industry successful. The application period for our current grant cycle for farmland preservation recently closed, and for the third year in a row, we have broken a new record in request. We received a total of $59 million in requests for farmland preservation this year. Last year, that was $42 million. We know that farmer interest is there, but we have to secure additional funding to bring more farms into the program. I know there will be challenges ahead with North Carolina's population increasing and the pressure of disappearing farmland and forest land. Rural North Carolina is deeply rooted in agriculture, and we need to make sure that ag remains on the table to provide actions that benefit both the farm and our homeowner neighbors. The department continues to run around 300 people shy of being fully staffed. Our employees are working hard to keep programs running with minimal disruption, but we run the risk of burning them out and losing good employees to retirement. We have so much to be proud of in North Carolina. Our agricultural industry is chief among them, but we also have a lot of challenges. So I'll call on you again to contact your legislators and congressional members and remind them what all agriculture and agribusiness contributes to our state's well-being. Again, I appreciate the opportunity to join you today. Please keep the faith. It will get better. Thank you.